The boys are fighting again, and I'm going to do a bit of improv this morning because I am exhausted, both emotionally and physically, from just this completely nuts news cycle. And I've also got to be at the dentist in 20 minutes. Shout out to dental care. And also, not for nothing, but Sunday and Monday, we had a full moon. So when in doubt, I like to look to the cosmos and blame some of the chaotic behavior on it. And it checks out because it was a full moon in Pisces. We're still in a little bit of a shadow period, which basically means everyone's emotions are turned all the way up. Don't believe me? I'm a woman of facts and science. Explain to me then how we are made up of mostly water. The ocean is ruled by the tides. The tides are ruled by the moon. How are we not? People sleep less during full moons, melatonin levels drop, circadian rhythms get all out of whack, and everyone is basically acting a little bit more wild and nuts. Systems are off, and everyone, as we've seen the last couple of days, are acting especially cray-cray because they're likely sleep deprived and their brain chemistry is off, and that's a good recipe for terrible decisions and zero emotional regulation, which is the perfect segue to Trump's cabinet. And I am reluctant to blame the cosmos on this absolute masterpiece of wildness in government. But let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday, at a private dinner for MAGA-aligned club, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent accused FHFA Director Bill Pulte of talking badly about him to Trump. Bessent swore at him and threatened to punch him and told him, "We can take this outside." They had to be separated. Two adult men had to be separated at their little MAGA dinner, and then they sat back down like nothing happened and continued on. Imagine the scene. They were just like eating probably like meat and like potatoes, I'm imagining, like not a single vegetable. These beefy boys having their little argument and their battle. But anyway, the battle between Bessent and Pulte and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick was a scene. And Trump has publicly said nice things about both Bessent and Lutnick and also pointed out that they are two very different people. Pulte's influence with Trump has gone up recently after he accused Fed Governor Lisa Cook of mortgage fraud, which led her to being fired and later suing the administration. So yeah, if you want to stay informed about the drama happening in DC, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. Trust me, you're going to need the updates. There is a lot of messy stuff happening this week. And yes, this isn't Bessent's first incident. Earlier this year, he had a shouting match with none other than Elon Musk about who should run the IRS. And at this point, it's unclear whether the economic team is running the government or auditioning for reality TV. And I keep thinking about like what their reality show concept would be like and what the pitching process would be like and who would host it. I could definitely see some kind of like America's Next Top Model drama, meanness, and just things that would not pass in today's culture. But anywho, the internet meltdown was really real. And then we got a special treat yesterday, about halfway through the day, when Trump's alleged birthday note to Jeffrey Epstein surfaced with a complete crude drawing of a naked woman with Donald sprawled where pubic hair would be. Ugh. The note ends with "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret," which sounds exactly like the kind of thing that you would send to a sex predator. And the internet was sleep deprived, so we went into a state of absolute chaos. Tweets were feral. And if that wasn't cursed enough, Epstein's birthday book also shows him with another longtime Mar-a-Lago member joking about selling a woman who was fully depreciated. And they joked about selling this woman to Donald Trump for $22,500 because apparently nothing says happy birthday like human trafficking jokes with novelty checks. This is so dystopian. So Trump is claiming he's never drawn a picture in his life. And I'm going to bust out my phone in a second and we're going to disprove that real quick. But it's one of those statements that make you wonder, did he literally just forget about that entire period of the 2000s where he was auctioning off sketches for charity? But sure, the man who puts his name on literally everything from steaks to toilet paper suddenly developed an artistic integrity when it came to Jeffrey Epstein's birthday book. Let me read you some of these reactions because they're absolutely unhinged and they're the only thing keeping me alive and sane right now. So let me read you some of the reactions because they're absolutely unhinged. First up, we have the House Oversight Democrats tweeting, "Here it is. We got Trump's Birthday note to Jeffrey Epstein that the president said doesn't exist. Trump talks about what a wonderful secret the two of them shared. What is he hiding? Let's release the files. Okay, now on to some more favorites. We got Mehdi Hassan. Mehdi Hassan tweeted, "Today, it was confirmed that the president told the world's most infamous pedophile and child sex trafficker we have certain things in common. For any other president, this would have been the biggest scandal of their lives, possibly career-ending. Not for Trump." Then we have JoJo from Jersey, the land of our people. "If the Democrats were genius enough to forge a birthday doodle 20 years ago just to kneecap a reality show host in his second presidency, then yeah, maybe they should be running the country." And listen, like I've said it before, I don't care if you're left, right, center, Democrat, Republican. If you're in the Epstein files and you have behaved badly, out, all of you. Clear house. I don't care. Goodbye. Okay, then we have Laura Loomer. And this one's actually from July, but I'm going to read it anyway. So Laura Loomer, far-right activist who got banned from so many platforms that she literally had to become a real life person, unfortunately, and somehow now has the ear of the president. She said it was totally fake because everyone knows President Trump doesn't type letters. He writes notes in a big black Sharpie. So that was Laura Loomer on July 17th of this year. Laura Loomer, okay. And then we have Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, if you are a better person than I and you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, he runs Turning Point USA and has the face of somebody who speaks to the manager at Starbucks. And he posted, "This is not how Trump talks at all. I don't believe it." And then he went on to tweet, Does the below from the Wall Street Journal look like the actual signature from President Trump? I don't think so at all. Fake." We're going to look at that tweet. It's right up on the screen right now. And then Caroline Leavitt announced, "It's very clear President Trump did not draw this picture and he did not sign it. This is fake news," all caps, to perpetuate the Democratic Epstein hoax. Oh, Caroline. Yeah. And then JD Vance, good old JD Vance, called it complete and utter BS and said that the Wall Street Journal should be ashamed for publishing it. It's literally an artifact. Okay. And then JD Vance also said the Democrats don't care about Epstein. They don't even care about his victims. That's why they were silent about it for years. The only thing that they care about is concocting another fake scandal like the Russian Gate to smear President Trump with lies. No one is falling for this BS. And then he quote tweeted Caroline Leavitt. Okay. Let's go back to September 4th, 2021. And we're going to insert a photo right here. Remember when we learned that our wealthiest and most powerful people were connected to a guy who ran a literal child sex trafficking ring? And then that guy died mysteriously in jail, ? And now we just don't talk about it? That was a quote from JD Vance on his own Twitter. Okay. We're going to breeze past a few more tweets and we're just going to close it out with a photo analysis. And with this photo analysis, you're going to see a suspiciously similar photo analysis. There's a letter to Jeffrey Epstein and a signature by Donald J. Trump. There's a letter to Conway with a signature from Donald J. Trump. And then there's a letter to Clinton with a signature from Donald J. Trump. They all look very similar. Okay. Meanwhile, critics had their own fun. George Conway posted a photo from 2006, a thank you note from Trump with a suspiciously similar signature. And Governor Gavin Newsom had a blast. He shared Trump's own quote, "I never wrote a picture in my life," next to a news article about his drawing going up for auction. But here's where it gets interesting. One Republican congressman recently explained the real reason why so many Republicans aren't speaking out about all this. He said there are a lot of billionaire donors on the Republican and Democratic side who are going to be embarrassed by what's in the Epstein files. He pointed out that some of these donors might have their names come up, and that creates a pretty powerful incentive to stay quiet. And in a moment, we're going to cut to that clip. But first, I'm going to ask you to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Check it out. Make sure you have. Let's confirm. And don't let these stories get buried in the news cycle. Subscribe now to stay ahead of the madness and get the real story behind the headlines. Okay. That congressman who spilled the tea about Republican donors being compromised, that was Thomas Massie from Kentucky, who's actually one of the few Republicans pushing hard for the Epstein files to be released. Let's see what he had to say. Cut to the clip.
Is it that Republicans fear Trump so much, but they agree with you privately? How they just talk about that for a minute?
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles, but that's what's happening. And it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's political machine. Not just his legislative affairs folks are reaching out from the White House to every Republican member of Congress who might think about co-sponsoring this. They're getting calls from the political machine that Donald Trump runs. We've got members of Congress who have aspirations of running for statewide office, and they can't win a statewide office in a Republican primary with Donald Trump on the other side. So they're terrified of him. With three big exceptions, three women have co-sponsored this resolution: Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace.
Why aren't they terrified of President
I
Trump?
think, number one, because they're women, they feel obligated to take up for the women who've been abused.
That's Massey, Republican representative from Kentucky, who's been saying that both parties have billionaire donors who are going to be embarrassed, which explains a lot of why this issue keeps getting buried despite public support from both sides for transparency. At this point, between cabinet members threatening to fight each other at dinner parties, birthday cards, to sex traffickers being released, and billionaire donors apparently calling the shots on both sides, I genuinely cannot tell if people are trying to run the government or auditioning for the world's most expensive reality TV show. And the full moon definitely isn't helping anyone make better decisions here. Anywho, that's all for today. I'm going to ask you once more to take a moment to subscribe, and we'll be back with more